So I got hold of some insider information at Intel from reliable sources that one person at the top management team at Intel is considering shutting down its dGPU program. This is verbatim what I was told. Let's dive into what's going on at Intel Graphics. This video is sponsored by UCDkeys.com. UCD Keys offers Windows 10 and Windows 11 Pro keys at super affordable prices. Currently, they have Windows 11 Pro for $21 and Windows 10, which is what I personally use, for just $14. There's also Office keys of various kinds. I've used this service myself, as have lots of my patrons and viewers, and the service works great, and the keys work globally. We're partnering with UCD Keys for a special offer. By using the coupon code C30, you will get an additional 20% off of any purchase. Visit ucdkeys.com or click the links in the description. I followed up on this and got mixed responses. The technical team inside Intel seems to have a completely different view of the future of Intel Graphics than the management team. Here's the perspective from sources connected to management. Intel's dGPU program is being evaluated for continuance. Upper Intel management is concerned about the viability of its dGPU moving forward in a fast-changing market, given its record of alchemist execution currently, and the execution of next-gen Battlemage is already extremely questionable. At this time, it does not look like the data center GPU is on the chopping block. Now note, the takeaway here is evaluated for continuance. I am absolutely not saying that the dGPU program will be cancelled. It's being evaluated for continuance. Please don't misquote me. And we will look at this in more detail in a second. But on the other end, here's what a technical member of the GPU design team told me directly. It doesn't take non-public information to know that we've fallen short of what we'd hoped to do by this stage. Not just because of bad execution, but we have definitely dropped the ball in some areas. But we always knew getting to this point was going to be a learning process, and there are real changes to priorities and processes being made to correct these failures in the future. Trust me, nobody in the graphics leadership is cocky right about now. Everyone knows that we have more or less underperformed across the various graphics programs, but I still believe that Intel needs something like what we have in the graphics organization. There might be some good reasons to do it, but I would be shocked if pulled the plug on the whole thing. So while it's not really a surprise that at a corporation with the scale that Intel has, someone at the top is considering pulling the plug on discrete graphics, which by their own admission is not matching expectations, it does seem a bit premature if you ask me. This was always going to be a marathon, and no one really expected Arc to be a success in the first generation, but pulling the plug this early I think would have a very negative impact on Intel's credibility, and probably very negatively impact their stock price. The company does have a track record of reversing course on programs they pursue, so like I said, it's not a surprise that a termination is being evaluated. Also, from the looks of it, it seems that it's not just Alchemist that is in a poor state, but also Battlemage, so we'd have to wait until Celestial to see some true competition with AMD and Nvidia, but at that point it feels like Intel will be constantly chasing shadows. I did a video in the past where I looked at Intel's chiplet strategy, and my analysis of it is that scalable chiplet-based GPUs would be key to leapfrogging Intel's competitors. So while I hope this evaluation happening at Intel leans towards continuing with the dGPU program and not cancelling it, because we as consumers would benefit greatly with a third party in the discrete market, I sort of do understand why someone more pragmatic at management would look at the current state of affairs and throw in the towel. Firstly, like we already saw, both Alchemist and Battlemage look to be falling short of expectations. The early reviews on Alchemist have already shown that, and comments from Ryan Shrout and Tom Peterson with Gamers Nexus and more recently on the PC World podcast seem to point to very poor performance, especially in older APIs. And from what I've heard internally at Intel, it seems this will extend to Battlemage. Secondly, Alchemist is coming to market in the midst of a huge influx of used mining GPUs that will be cheap as chips on eBay at unprecedented levels. levels. So low and mid-range cards, even if priced competitively, are not going to have much appeal for consumers. So for at least the next couple of quarters, Alchemist will be completely unbuyable. And I think that applies to new AMD and Nvidia GPUs as well, to be honest. Thirdly, the soaring inflation and impending recession means that this is not going to be a good time for the incumbents AMD and Nvidia, let alone for an unproven newcomer like Intel. It's going to take a year or more for consumers to have the money to spare on brand new GPUs, at best resorting to the used market for any upgrades in the meanwhile. So the reasoning for Intel cutting their losses with dGPUs is sound, but I honestly hope that Intel stays on course for the long haul. I'm really looking forward to testing Arc personally. I think the reviews out there so far don't show the card's true potential, especially considering someone has already managed to overclock the A380 to the point of it getting a 60% performance boost in Doom Eternal. To me, that sounds like it's worth looking into. Anyway, I wanted to put this video out early as I imagine others will be leaking more info related to this. The sources that provided the information have a great track record and are people that I trust, but let me repeat one last time. The dGPU program is being evaluated for continuance. I'm absolutely not saying the dGPU program will be cancelled. I hope that's clear. Speaking of Intel, I have a mid-cycle Alder Lake review coming up, and I'm seeing some interesting results, so be sure to subscribe as you won't want to miss that. This video was made possible by my awesome patrons. Consider joining my Patreon for just $1 per month and get exclusive access to the Cortex Discord server, where you can talk to me directly and get exclusive bits of information regarding Intel, AMD, and Nvidia on a regular basis. Thanks for watching, and until the next one.